Hello there. That's actually really dark. Hold on a sec. Sorry about that. The reason I'm making this video today. Hold on a sec. Oh, I can't get it right. I can actually just do this. The reason I wanted to make a video today is I wanted to do something to commemorate the end of the Owl House, because it is a show I watched sometime in 2022 before season 3 even started or was even announced, for that fact. I had watched it just thinking, 2 seasons, alright, but 40 episodes in total. Seems good. After I had finished the 40 episodes, it didn't take long for me to start begging for a season 3. And season 3 did eventually start coming with, thanks to them, coming out sometime, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, sometime end of summer 2022. I think it was end of August, early September, I think, when it came out, I think. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I think. But I watched that on YouTube, or at least I tried. I did it, but I wasn't able to fully do it. But I wasn't able to fully experience it because, well, it was on my phone, begging, praying it didn't get copyright claimed. It then got copyright claimed a few hours later, but what are you gonna do? But, yeah. And, I quite liked season 3, episode 1. I thought it was quite a good episode, and I patiently waited for it to come to Disney Plus. But before that came season 3, episode 2, For the Future. Personally, my least favorite episode of the trio of episodes that consists of season 3 in its entirety, but it's still quite a good episode, I personally think, with some redeeming qualities and some not redeeming qualities. I remember seeing a video that covered it really well. I cannot remember the name of it to save my life, but I remember someone covering it really well. Sarcastic Chorus. Yes, the Sarcastic Chorus covered this season 3, trilogy there really well. Personally, if you want a better in-depth look of the season, better than I could personally ever do it, go watch the Sarcastic Chorus, because he did a really good job of it. But, and then, I couldn't actually finish the episode. I had to wait a while before I could actually finish the episode. So, it was kind of annoying. I then continued waiting for a Disney Plus release. Spoiler alert. Watching and Dreaming came out before the Disney Plus release. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's cool. It's kind of annoying, but yeah. This one was probably the most annoying to try and watch. Actually, no, scratch that. For the Future was the most annoying to try and watch. Because, whenever you tried to watch a YouTube video about it, it would just be a video, like an hour-long video of just a link on the screen telling you to go to another site to go watch it. I don't know why they made it an hour. I don't know why everyone decided to just make it an hour. No one was sitting there for an hour watching a link on a screen for an hour straight, because no one is that insane, I will gladly watch 3 hour Darva videos talking about whatever nonsense he wants to talk about that video. But I will not sit there for an hour watching a link on a screen with nothing else. I'm not that insane. But anyways, that's besides the point. The point is that it was a struggle to watch the episode, but I eventually got to watch it. But Watching and Dreaming came out. I watched it on like half of my TV screen. For context, my TV is about that big, in theory. It's about that big. So imagine this TV, but like half. So it's like the size of like a cube over here, with like something over there. So in concept, it's not a lot of room to really watch it, and the audio was bugged, so that wasn't even a good function either. So it was just a really messed up version of Watching and Dreaming. But I got to experience the full thing on Disney Plus, because a few days later, the entirety of season 3 came out on Disney Plus. I binged the entire thing in a singular night. I binged the entire goddamn thing in a single night. I went from 12 a.m., I think it was the 12th, to 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. on the 12th. The whole thing does not take you 4 hours. It takes you, I think, less than 2 to watch all of season 3, but, you know, I commented on things, you know, did some other things like that, you know what I mean? Did my own, like, commentary about some things. I like to do that, you know, with it, but, yeah, but really, I just wanted to make this video to commemorate the ending of Owl House, you know, to put a bookend on the series. I mean, before I start going into, like, detail about it, I just want to give a massive spoiler warning. Like, massive spoiler warning for this and the rest of this video. I feel like you would be satisfied with me talking about Owl House up to now, but there is going to be a massive spoiler warning going into the rest of this video, because I want to talk about stuff that happened in the episode. And none of my friends have seen it, and none of them, I doubt, have any intention on seeing it. And, you know, the guilt that, you know how it feels when you try and get someone to watch something, but they don't, so you just can't talk about it with anybody? And you may be thinking, boy, Pichu, like, what about, like, Reddit and Discord servers? Well, you see, the funny thing is, have you ever tried looking up an Amphibia or Owl House Discord server? Spoiler alert, they're one of two things. They're either massively LGBT, massively, to the point where you feel like an outcast for just trying to be there. Or two, for Owl House specifically, they speak Spanish. It's a Spanish-speaking Discord. So it's either massively LGBT or massively Spanish, to the point where I can't understand a word they're saying without popping up a Google Translate. And that seems like pain. Amphibia is no different. Well, it's sort of different. It's not Spanish. I don't really know. I kind of forget, but I just know there's some that aren't English. So it kind of sucks. But I'm not really surprised if there'd be multiple Amphibia servers that are also in Spanish, considering how most people call them, like, sibling shows or sister shows. Because they are very similar shows, do not get me wrong. Both of them are kind of isekai stories about a girl getting transported to another world, meeting a found family, and a bunch of hijinks ensue for the first season. Second season gets darker. Third season, like, stakes are at their highest. The main character and Wait. Ooh, I almost spoiled it. I did say a spoiler warning earlier, but I didn't mention one for Amphibia, so I should probably do that if just in case I do mention it. But yeah, anyways, let's just get back to the topic at hand, which is Owl House. Owl House. Spoiler warnings go into effect right now. I spent 3 minutes talking about it, but we're getting into the spoiler warnings now. Season 3. It is a very well done set of 3 episodes. That's what I personally think. I personally think it's really well done for the restrictions that the team was given for like time restraints and episode restraints and how they were forced to do it. And they had no business landing the ending so goddamn well. Like, they stuck that landing better than shows with like full season, like full 6 seasons. You get the full thing. Like, and I'm just to put up a spoiler warning for She-Ra, the Netflix one, not the old one. No, the newer one. I'm gonna put up a spoiler warning for that one real fast. But that show had 5 seasons. They aren't all the same length. I'll give you that. Season 3 also sucked majorly, but season 5, it was, a wrap-up season, a final threat, and resolution, everybody's happy, have a time skip, everyone's married, you have the gay couple at the end, the straight third wheels or whatever, the straight duo antagonist or whatever. But in 5 seasons, the ending, I feel, could have been a lot better because they had a lot more to do and wrap up. But I kind of think it was good. But, I don't know. But then you compare it to Owl House's ending. It is a 55-minute mini movie, and it is bloody perfection. It is perfection down to every part of it. Major spoiler warnings go into effect now, but like, Luz's death, perfect. The foreshadowing for that scene, perfect. The time skip scenes, perfect. Like, the final battle, damn near perfect. There is one caveat with that final battle scene. And also, I have one problem with the final episode. It's that unless your name is Luz No Zeta, nobody else did fuck all. I'm sorry, not a soul did a damn thing. Oh, I'm sorry. King tripped the collector, ending the game of marbles. I'm sorry, King did that. And I'm sorry, Ida... Ida was there. But I mean, I get why the rest of the Hex Squad wasn't there. I get why, but it is massively annoying. Because none of them do lickety shit for like the entire episode. And it is kind of annoying. Because we get a little bit of Amity. And like a little bit of Camila. We should have gotten more Camila. And I feel like if they had actually registered that she had died, or if it had ever been brought up, like, that would have been so much better. Like, to just, like, yes, there is, like, a really beautiful scene of Camila crying after Luz dies, which lets us know that at least she understands what had happened. But Nobody else gets it. I don't think Amity ever finds out she even died. But, like, I just find it weird. Like, nobody bats an eye at the fact that just a bunch of light glyphs just float along the sky and then they just dissipate. Despite knowing the only person to ever use light glyphs other than what they were currently doing is Luz. So nobody bats an eye. Not a soul bats an eye. Not anyone at fucking Hex. Not anyone at Hex side. None of the Hex squad. Nobody gets it, and I'm kind of annoyed. It is very evident for the people who saw her die, but you could have turned it into anything, and they would have gotten the fact that she had died. You know? Like, you could have made it into just Orbeez. Like, you could have taken Orbeez from 5 years ago, plopped them into the episode for whatever reason, make the most dated reference of all time. Just plop them in there, have her body turn into Orbeez, and Ida, King, and King still would have gotten that she had died. You could have turned her into anything, and she would have died, and they would have comprehended that she had died. It did not matter. You could have turned whatever she turned into anything, and the message would have been and the whole idea of the scene would have been the same, because her turning into light glyphs, yes, it was beautiful, it was perfect, but not a bloody soul took that. Not a bloody soul actually understood, except for Camila. It would have changed one thing. It would have been Camila's reaction, which was just very faint tears. They do zoom in on it, I do admit, so it would have changed that one thing. However, that's it. You could have turned her into literal pieces of floating shit, and the message would have been the same. It could have been the exact same. Every single message that they presented after her death would have been the same. They just turned her into light glyphs because it just made sense. I get it, but it's just my only gripe with it. Other than that, though, the episode's perfection, pretty much. The entire thing is practically perfection. So, yeah, that's really my only gripe with the episode. And I know I babbled on for a while about it, but it's just weird. I don't really understand. At least Amity should have gotten it, right? I would have loved to see a reaction of Amity, like, understanding what it was, and then just falling to her knees, just starts bawling her eyes out. Because nobody cries at the fact. I mean, yeah, people end up crying, yes, but, like, nobody's just, like, a defeated cry. Amity doesn't just, like, nobody just plops down and just starts crying. No one pulls a Waluigi fanboy who wanted him to get into Smash and just, like, fall over and then just cry a lot because, boo-hoo, you didn't get Waluigi in Smash, shut up. But, yeah, you get the point. Nobody actually cried. You have tears, but nobody's out here, like, bawling their eyes out at her death. But King and Ida's reaction to her death are flawless. Collector's reaction to her death was flawless. It was foreshadowed earlier in the episode, and it was perfect. They executed that entire scene perfectly. The scene of Luz dying was executed perfectly. The part after her death was a little worse, but it was still really good. But Luz's death, flawless. I can't think of a single part of that scene that I have a singular nitpicky gripe about. Can't think of a single thing. Cannot think of a single damn thing. The whole thing was perfectly planned. Like, Collector's a kid, right? He is still a child. He doesn't understand death. That is explicitly told to us and foreshadows this exact scene earlier in the episode. after they're done with all like the 3 games, after they finish up, I think it's the Jenga game. Luz talks to collect. Oh wait, no, I think it's before the games. Yeah, it's before the games. Before the games start, they're talking about like they were talking about. I forget the context of it, but like they were talking about something, and then Collector brings up how like, oh, dolls break all the time. You can just fix them. And then he just snaps. He breaks a doll, and then drops it, and then snaps, and then it just comes back together again. That moment shows us 2 things, or probably 3, but I just can't think of it. It shows one his naivete. It shows like he doesn't comprehend death. Luz comments on it like a second later, but still, it shows us that he doesn't understand death because he's still a kid. This is even enforced later on in Luz's death at multiple points during it. But still. And it also shows that, like, it's also really good. Dang it, I had something, but, like, I lost it. This is what happens when you just don't have a script for these kind of things. Like, you kind of just need to come with it out your mouth, and sometimes you forget something. But, anyways, as I was saying, like a second or two ago, about like how like, so the scenes go from like Luz's death to the aftermath of Luz's death to the aftermath of the scene of Luz's death. So it's like you have Luz's death, then you have the light glyphs trail scene or whatever it's called. Then you have the aftermath of Luz's death with like King, Ida, Collector. And it's gotten to the point where he's trying to tell them to stop. He's trying to snap his fingers, but it's not working because he's slowly dying the same way Luz did. How he doesn't end up dead at all is a miracle and plot armor, I'd say. But surprisingly, the main character doesn't get it. Well, I mean, it's kind of a fake out death, but I really like the fake out death, so I think it's fine. But anyways, right, we're at that scene. Right. So then the thing is, the Collector starts crying. Like visible tears going down. He's bawling. But he doesn't know he's crying. He doesn't. Well, he knows he's crying, but he doesn't know what it is. Right? He doesn't know what it is. So it makes it even more depressing because the kid doesn't know what tears are. So he's just sitting there, like just wondering, what is this stuff? Why won't it stop? And then he sees that the same goop that's on him and was on Luz is now getting on Ida and King. And he's just like, no, get off of her. And, eventually Luz comes back, saves the day, yada yada yada, finale time. Big boss battle wrap up, bing bing boom. Anyways, after all of that, Belus gets quite the satisfying death. I kind of wish that I did a bit more with it, honestly. Because for what his character was, which was the villain, he was the villain of the story. I feel like they probably could have done something bigger with his death. Like, if they just had... I don't know, really, but I don't really know what they could have done, but I kind of wish they did more, because his death is kind of just capped off in a really comedic way. And I mean, yeah, I get that's the point of it, that, oh, hey, this serious guy who only cared about himself was defeated by the power of friendship, or what have you. I don't get it fully, because my mind doesn't get symbolism fully, except for, like, the one piece of symbolism. Actually, I do want to travel back, talk about that in a second, but still. Anyways, what the thing is, they just kind of kill him because his body eventually just gives up on him and he just succumbs to his wounds that he's been dealing with since for the future, and he just couldn't do it. He just couldn't keep going. So he just his body kind of just became doo decrepit, and they just used it as an excuse to just beat him to death. Kind of stomp him to death with their feet, and it's capped off with like a joke, like a king joke, being like, there's Bellows goo on my claw. Or something like that. It's like, there's gunk on my claw. And I kind of feel like he deserved a better death than what he got. Because it's a satisfying death, don't get me wrong. Like, Ida and King and Rain get to, finally get to see the man that's been wanting them dead for ages. And see the man who ruined their world finally keel over dead. But kind of wish they did more with it, I kind of wish Luz did something other than just not saving him, because that's all she does. And Luz kind of should have done more, personally speaking, but it's kind of weird, really, when you think about it, because it's like, why? Yeah. Sorry, this is being filmed at 1:30 in the morning, but I came up with this inspiration on the toilet. So hey, we get that filming, we get those money. I'm just kidding. I don't make money off of this. Anyways, I thought I wanted to circle back to that symbolism I recognized, but yeah. The one symbolism that I recognized was back at Luz's death, because I cannot shut up about this scene. I will never shut up about this scene. Anyways, when Luz dies, the Collector grabs on to one of the glyphs, right? Because him grabbing onto that glyph symbolizes that he still has hope that she's still alive, right? So he goes down. So he floats on down. There's an explosion. Yeah, there's an explosion after her disintegration, or an implosion or whatever. But he floats down to Ida and King as they're still completely in awe. Not in awe, but they're completely frozen by what just happened, right? Because the person that they consider closer than family, right? Closer than family blood, just died right in front of them, right? Just died like that, just dead. So most people probably wouldn't take that well, but Collector's still holding on to that glyph because he's still holding on to hope. He goes up to them. He's just sitting there, really. Actually, no, he's just sitting there in front of the hat, in front of her not Azura hat. Yeah, I can't talk at 1:30 in the morning sometimes. So Collector just sits there in front of Luz's Azura hat, just trying to fix her, because as foreshadowed earlier, he thinks he can just fix puppets. He thinks he can just fix broken things, and a dead person would just be a broken thing. So just fix it. But he tries as much as he likes, nothing's working. And when Luz tries to get another blast off, King finally just snaps, goes full enraged mode, blocks the blast, and then as the Collector runs over to Ida, she's like, "Stand back, kid. I don't think I can control myself right now." She just starts pulsing with complete rage. Her eyes go red, and we see her in a form we've never seen her before. Yeah, we've seen her owl form. We saw it in episode like 4 or 5, one of the two. And like at this point, it's not really impressive because we've seen it multiple times at this point, right? It's like, yeah, ooh, be careful. It's a problem, but still, we've seen it multiple times. It's nothing special. But this one's different. The air about this one feels different. Mainly because the design's also different, because she has 6 wings. But still, like, other than the 6 wings and, the whole thing that's different, that it looks different, it just feels different. The air, the music, everything just feels different. But that's besides the point. So he like steps back, but then the collector trips, letting go of the glyph. And when he lets go, he finally like lets go of the hope that Luz was still alive. He lets go of the hope because realistically there is no hope that she is alive. So he succumbs to the realism that she actually is gone. She actually is dead. And as we just sit there as the camera kind of just sits there for a second, we have to take in the fact that she's just dead. And, you know, because how it happens is how all these scenes pan out is that it goes from Luz's death to you follow the glyphs, then it comes back, then deals with this, then it goes to Luz meeting the Boiling Isles Titan, or King's dad. So it actually gives us like suspense that she's actually dead. And it's a fake out death, granted. Granted, it is a fake out death, yeah, and some people don't like fake out deaths. I get it, but this one works. They make it work really well with what they have. What they have in their pockets, what they have available, which isn't a whole lot. It was masterful what they did, and even if we're just talking about like other things, like let's just talk about the beginning. For example, not a lot of people bring up the beginning because it's like a really simple beginning. It's just like, ooh, it's a dream. Ooh, she's all talking all that about herself. She's talking all that shit about herself. Because she's had a kind of depressed arc ever since season 3 started. Makes sense. You kind of get rid of that here. So, I mean, yeah. Amity starts talking some shit. Willow starts talking some shit. Gus starts talking like some actual shit. And then Hunter starts like actually making like Gus and Hunter actually start making logical sense that it's kind of hard to negate their points. Like Amity and Hunter Amity and Willow, you can kind of negate their points because they're just like, you're bad. If it's all because of you, it's your fault. And it's just like